Hello, I'm Dave and this is Logan, out once again for a walk in the countryside. Thanks for joining us. Now today we're at the pretty village of Puddletown in Dorset. It's located about 5 miles northeast of Dorchester and the River Piddle runs through the village. And we're going to be walking a roughly 4.5 mile circular route. We'll have a look round Puddletown itself, exploring a few places before heading south, crossing a Roman road towards the eastern edge of Puddletown Forest. We'll then head eastwards along a road to Ilsington Farm, then north through Ilsington Wood back to the village. And I expect there'll be lots of interesting things to see along the way. Now I'm filming at the end of February. It's a bitterly cold day. There was a frost this morning. It's about 2 or 3 degrees now, but it is warming up. The sun is out, there's plenty of blue sky. Logan's got his thick winter coat on, but it should be perfect conditions for walking. Do come along with us. Okay, well, we'll start off the walk with a little wander through the village. Well, we'll start off at the northern end of the village, and what better place to start than the pub. There's the Blue Vinny. Now, it doesn't show on a 1902 map, but it just shows as an inn on a 1958 map. It may originally have been called the Cat, but I think that was burnt down and the pub rebuilt. And I was reading that it may well have been named after the Dorset Blue Vinny cheese, which apparently is a blue crumbly cheese made from cow's milk. I think the Vinny may derive from the Dorset word for mouldy, I'm not sure. And it had been made in Dorset for over 300 years, but production had virtually ceased by the 1980s, at which point a farm near Sturminster Newton revived the recipe, and they've been making it ever since. I expect it may well be our final destination. We're just taking a little detour north of the pub, up to the bridge that goes over the River Piddle. Now, if you look on a 1888 map, there was once an animal pound roughly about here, just by the bridge, but I think it's long gone. And this is the River Piddle. Now, it's 18 miles long. Its source is at Alton Pancras to the north of here, and it flows into Poole Harbour at Wareham to the east. And it's also known as the Trent. Now, its name, well, Piddle is Old English for fen or marsh, and by 966 the river was recorded as Piddelia. And indeed there are several settlements along its course that have Piddle or Puddle in their name. For example, Piddlehinton, Tolpuddle, and of course Puddletown. The Victorians didn't really like the word piddle and much preferred the word puddle. We're now heading sort of south back through the village, down Backwater. This house here on the corner is quite interesting. It's got a date of 1878 and WEB there. I think that stands for William Brymer, who was MP for Dorchester in 1874. He lived in Ilsington House. We'll see more of that later. And he owned the brickworks to the south. We're just on from the square down Back Street. I think this may once have been the site of a pub called the Royal Oak. It shows as PH on an 1888 map, but it's long gone. Well, this quite splendid church is the Church of St Mary. There was evidence of a Saxon church here in the past, but the oldest parts of the present building date to the 12th century, when there was just a nave, chancel and small tower. In the 13th century the tower was enlarged and north and south chapels added. And much of what we see today, though, is from the 15th century. Indeed, the North East chapel was added in the 15th century and the church was rededicated in 1505. In 1910 there was a big restoration when the chancel and north chapel were enlarged. So today there's a nave, chancel, a west tower, north and south porches, a north aisle, a northeast chapel, a south chapel and a vestry. And I think it's got 6 bells. Now, our friend Sir Frederick Treves had quite a lot to say about the village in his 1906 book, Highways and Byways in Dorset. So forgive me if I read a passage or two from the book. Got to have me glasses for this. Puddletown, the town on the River Puddle and the Weatherbury of the Wessex novels, affords an agreeable melange of the old and the new, of the semi-pretentious house and the humble thatched cottage. The ill-named river runs through the streets, the houses of which are much scattered and broken up by delightful orchards and gardens. There is one particularly quaint corner in the town where a thatched roof cottage is broken out into a Georgian bow window worthy of a town hall. This upper window is supported by pillars, and in the porch-like space beneath, it is a parterre of flowers. The feature of greatest interest in Puddletown is the church, one of the few in the country which has been happy in escaping the hand of the restorer. There is in the nave a beautiful panelled ceiling of oak, the beams of which are bare alike of varnish and of paint. There are the old oak pews of past days still in use, a handsome singing gallery for the village choir bearing the date 1635, an ancient wood pulpit with a clerk's stall beneath, and a Norman font shaped like a drinking tumbler. The general colouring of the nave is very pleasing, the pews and the ancient woodwork being a rich autumn brown, the walls grey, the ceiling with its myriad shadows, the tint of cinnamon, formerly decorated with painting of the 16th, 17th century. But for the organ and the lamps, here unchanged as the village church of 2 centuries ago. On these very benches sat the farmers' men in drab smock frocks and their womenfolk in homespun. In this actual gallery, the farmer's young wife led the singing, a prim woman in a poke bonnet and an ample flounced skirt, with a white tippet over her shoulders and mittens on her wrists. In this very porch, the villagers bobbed and curtsied as the squire of Athelhampton and his lady swept by to the manorial pew. No church in the county can compare with this in human interest, and nowhere can one come into closer communion with the homely spirit of the Dorset of the past. I love his prose. Now this splendid building here, just to the east of the church, is the old vicarage, named after a chap called Henry Dornay, who was formerly the vicar here. I think it ceased to be the vicarage in the 1970s. And just behind it, I don't think we're going to be able to see much of it, is Ilsington House, built in 1690 and enlarged in the 19th century, and it's set in something like 24 acres of parkland. I think it's now called Clarendon Manor, and I think it may be privately owned, I'm not sure. Well, this magnificent house on the corner here is the old reading room, built in 1870. Indeed, there's a date on the wall there. Now this here used to be the Prince of Wales pub. It was burnt down in the 1930s and then rebuilt using some of the original 16th century original building, I think. But it closed as a pub in 2001 and is now apartments. Where those buildings are over on the other side of the road there, that used to be the King's Arms pub. It shows on an 1888 map and indeed a 1958 map, but sadly the pub's long gone. Looks like it was demolished and the house is built. Well, we're now leaving Puddletown. I'm going to head out into the countryside. Heading southwards, we're taking a public footpath that goes along the sides of where the King's Arms used to be. And, we should get some cracking views today. The noise you can hear in the background is the busy A35 dual carriageway which bypasses the village, but we'll be getting away from that soon. I'll tell you, it's terrific to be able to enjoy some sunshine and blue sky. We've had months of miserable grey. Okay, well, continuing to head southwards, we've crossed a little road and our footpath takes us by a farm called Coombe Barn Farm. A little pit stop to take in the views. So there's Coombe Barn Farm on the right and the footpath along the side of a field that we've been following. So this is looking back to the north. Everything's so fresh today. It's gorgeous. We've just made our way into a little bit of wooded area. We'll shortly be heading on to the edge of Puddletown Forest actually, but this little area here, a bit of mixture really, sort of conifers and deciduous. And Logan is on squirrel alert. You seen any yet? Well, that was a very peaceful bit of woodland that we've come through, just past the Kennels. Now, before we continue heading southwards, I'm going to do a little detour to the west. There's something I want to check out there. Well, just in front of me here, this is the edge of Puddletown Forest. Something like 302 hectares, all leased to Forestry England. And the reason I sort of wanted to detour to here, well, if you look at a 1902 map, it shows that roughly around here there was a training track. I've no idea what it was for. I mean, there were kennels here. Maybe it was to get horses fit for hunting, I don't know. But it was roughly around here, but wow, I expect these trees have all grown up since it was disused, so I'm not going to be able to find anything. Well, we're now back on our original route, so that's the Kennels in front of me here to the north, and we're going to continue heading southwards, but a good spot to take in some views. Just looking back to where we've been, so there's Puddletown Forest on the left. Now somewhere around here there should be a Roman road that sort of crosses in front of me. I mean, I can't see anything obvious. It certainly shows on some old maps. I'm guessing it must have been what, Dorchester to Badbury Rings. We do cross it on the return journey, so we might get a more obvious sighting of it then. Oh, that's interesting. It looks as though it's a motocross track here that's been dug out into the field. I might be totally wrong, of course, but it kind of looks as though it is. Certainly the right shape for one. Well, I've just hit a road by Lower Heath Cottage, and this is as far south as we're going on the route. We're going to say goodbye to Puddletown Forest. Now going to start heading eastwards towards Ilsington Farmhouse. I'll continue to make our way along this road. It's not been too busy, and we're just about to come to Ilsington Farmhouse. Well, the house is on the right there, probably the best view. We'll get it from here, late 18th, early 19th century. And there should be a footpath on the other side of the road, which will take us on our homeward journey back north. A little uphill bit, just found a lovely little spot just by the bridleway to rest and take in some views. Well, the next little section of the walk takes us into another bit of woodland, Ilsington Wood, which we actually go through. So continuing to head northwards. Oh, what a delightful pond. And so we're in Ilsington Wood, fairly big, covers about 82 hectares. And around these parts was once the Puddletown brickworks that originally produced bricks for the farmhouse and buildings at Ilsington Farm. Of course, we saw that house in Puddletown earlier on with the initials WEB, William Brymer, who bought the brickworks here in 1882. But lovely to see. Well, I wonder whether the pond had anything to do with the brickworks. It shows on a 1902 map. Well, folks, somewhere along here we cross that Roman road again, but wow, your guess is as good as mine as to where it is. Looks like it's one of those roads that was gradually ploughed over as the years went by. Certainly the map suggests it went across here somewhere, so if I vaguely say it's out there. Well, this is our last section. Joined a little track called, I think it's called Rod Hill Lane, and this should take us back into Puddletown, and we'll eventually join up with the Hardy Way, very much an old friend of ours, of course. And here we are back at Puddletown. Right, now there's one more place to visit. And here we are at our final destination, the Blue Vinny, which we ought to pop into purely for research purposes for the video, of course. Well, folks, here we are in the beer garden of the Blue Vinny, just testing out their ale, a pint of Ringwood 49er. I haven't had this for ages. Oh, lovely. I'm afraid they haven't got your favourite pipers, but Walker's ready salted. Yeah, that'll do. We hope you enjoyed our walk today. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment, and do check out our Facebook page, Dave's Countryside Walks. We've had a super walk today. I mean, the weather has been quite glorious, and it did warm up in the end. So until we meet again, thanks for watching. and cheerio. Hello, Chris, sir.